Hi, junior campers. This is Ken Kear. You know who you know me by? You know me by Kiki. Miss Kiki is my youngest daughter, so I've been around her for years. She's found out that I like stars and seeing the moon and stuff. So I've got my binoculars out here. It's a clear summer night here, and I've got an app on my phone which is really handy. And you may be able to do something similar to this yourself. Get something on your phone. This one tells me all the best things to look at tonight and gives me choices about the moon and the sun and the planets and all sorts of things to look at. So I use something like this to go decide what to look at. And one of the main tips you have is you've got the best thing in the world to look at the stars by is just your eyes. Now, I wear glasses, so I'm a little bit handicapped now that I'm a little bit older, but I can still see stars, and especially if you're in a darker place. Like if you're in the suburbs like I am, it's not very dark and it's really hard to see the dimmer stars, so they only see the brighter stars. So this time of year in the summer, we only see several really bright stars. The rest of them are pretty dim, and you have to be in a darker place. And so if you live out in the country or you go traveling and camping somewhere in the dark or in the woods, you're going to find some stars just all over the place. And if you go back home in the city like I am, then you're going to realize, hey, where'd all the stars go? Well, even us city folks can see other things around here. One of the main things we look for is the moon. And a quick tip here is never look at the sun, even with just your plain eyes. Never use anything like binoculars or whatever. It will literally fry the back of your eyeballs. You will probably not ever see again correctly if you can see at all. So I want to give you that tip. And let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we're going to look at tonight. Okay, kids, now we're going to look at some of the things we can see, usually on a fairly dark night. If it's clear at all, in our northern latitudes here, we have two constellations that about everybody can pick out any night, and that's the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. That's the Small Bear and the Big Bear. We notice those by the shape of the bear that they make, the handles that they make with a cup on it. And there are some more stars associated with that particular constellation, so they used to say it looked like a bear when you could see all the stars. And the one that's right up here at the tail of the Little Dipper is right at the North Pole. Well, if we look at that star and stay here all night long, we'll see that all the other stars are basically rotating right around that star. So it's a handy one to know if you're out somewhere and sort of lost and don't know where you are. Look for the Little Dipper. It'll have two stars at the end of it, a curved handle coming back down to a brighter star that's just up about at a 45-degree angle roughly. That will be directly north. Now, the neat thing about that constellation is that you'll always look at that Little Dipper, and it looks like it's pouring into the Big Dipper. So it's a big pan with a little handled pan, and so you'll notice that it always is open towards it and like pouring into it. And so you'll notice that's a much larger type constellation with a handle that goes up this direction, and four stars make up the basic cup of the pan shape that it has in the Big Dipper. So those are two things you should look for. You'll find those on about any night when you're outside here in Ohio or one of the areas here in the north of the United States. Oh, we're having a good time out here now. Tonight's the night that's really good here at the junior camp this year. We're right here at what they call the strawberry full moon. It was actually occurred last night, but it's right during strawberry season. There's a couple other names for it because of that time of year that things are happening, but strawberry is a good one for us here in Ohio. And it's nearly a full moon tonight. I'm standing here with my binoculars, got a great view of it. I've got another pair of binoculars out there on my tripod, which gets even closer. And here, if you want to look on the back of my camera, we are getting pictures of it with my special zoom camera, where we can get right up to it. It's just like we're practically sitting on the moon. and or maybe we're just orbiting the moon ourselves and just taking pictures as we go by. In any event, it's a lot of fun. You can stay in here just with your eyes, focus on it, notice the light and dark areas. Those are what they call the seas, or the dark areas. The light areas are like mountainous regions, and some of those regions are craters. If you've got a pair of binoculars, you'll see some extremely bright spots where you can just see there's like a splash of real white material that's been exploded away from some of these craters. So a lot of things to look at when you're doing it. That kind of wraps up our session for tonight. There's a lot of other things we could look at if we had lots of time and bigger telescopes and such, and I've got some of those, and maybe you do too. And if you don't, someday in the future, make that a priority for you to spend some time looking at it, even just getting something on your phone app and just spending it sometime during the day, looking at some of the things that are out there. God made us a great universe. He made us some things. He gave us these things for times and days and seasons. There's a reason we have this. Our universe and our moon and our stars work like a clock. We can literally set our clocks by it. That God made it that so precise. So it's a wonderful thing to see, and I hope you guys are having a great time for junior camp this year.